Hi, I'm Himmelvolk, and over 7 months ago, before I even got my van, I started making my separating toilet, and this video is showing how I built that separating toilet. But now, 7 months later, when you get to the end, I will show you what it's like now. Now what are you up to? I'm making a diverting toilet, or a urine separating toilet, or some people call it a do-it-yourself composting toilet, which not so much composting. How do you drink out of it? Well, you don't. There's no water. What good is it, and how does it work? Hi, I'm Himmelvolk from Turtle Trekker, and this is Wrinkles. Hi. Now, some people, when they're building a separating toilet, they build a really fancy box and spend a lot of time making the box. But as you can see, I'm using a plastic tote. And the weight of me is not going to be on the plastic tote, it's going to be on the bucket. And that round insert you saw, the bucket will be on top of that, so it's tall enough so that my weight will be on the bucket once the toilet seat is on there. Now there will be a board that toilet seat sits on. Now I have seen on videos some people, they go and make an elaborate box, and then they've got the bucket, and then they use a funnel in front of the bucket. Now I don't know about you, but my pooping ability to use a separate funnel and a bucket are not that good. The urine separator that I've got was about $45 on eBay, and the same guy sells the same thing on Etsy, and he sells a whole kit with it, but I just got the urine diverter, and that's all I needed. Now I need to make a cutout so that the urine separator will fit, but first I'm going to practice on another bucket so I can get a little confident before I cut the bucket I want to use. It worked out okay, but now I have to make a more exact cut with the real bucket that I'm going to use. First make a template and then use the jigsaw. And I'm not going to show you all of my jigsawing because that's kind of boring. And we'll see how that urine separator fits on there. Not bad. Okay, so I've moved inside, and let's see what we got. I got my box, which was no build, it's just a tote. I've got this round thing, which I cut from a board, and the board I cut it from will be on the top of this. And I will put a hole in that board so the toilet seat will be over the hole. Okay, now because it's particle board, I've got to paint it, both this and the board, at least with primer, because it is particle board, and they say you're supposed to, on particle board, use oil primer instead of a latex primer. Duh. And the lady at Home Depot didn't know that, even though on their website it says you're supposed to. And the reason you're supposed to is because the water will expand the particle board. Now I've got my diverter, and I may have to cut this lip a little bit because I'm a little concerned that the bag might not come in easily, and I'm going to sand this off and smooth it off, but right now it fits good, and the bag for the poop, well, of course, will be in the bucket. Now this hose is not going to be as long as this. I didn't have a garden hose. I'm thinking, what am I going to do? But I had an air pump that I didn't have an adapter for, so I cut it off and I used a hose clamp up top. And this is going to be shortened to about there or so, but I didn't want to cut it off yet because I wanted to make sure of how long I wanted it, which will definitely not be this long. So this will go in there on top of the board. I'll have like 4 different pieces of 2x4 that'll keep it in place from moving. And here's the problem. This is the toilet seat that I got at Habitat for Humanity, their thrift store. And when I put it over the top, this is an oblong seat. And the bucket is round. So this would be a gap right here. That's not a good thing. So this will have to be redonated back to Habitat for Humanity. Waste of $5, but whatever. Fortunately, as I was going downstairs to look for painting supplies, to paint the boards with, I found this. Now, I replaced a toilet in my house a few years ago, so this is a round toilet seat, which will fit perfectly. Now, what I will use to collect the urine is a bottle like this, basic juice bottle. I'm not sure how big this is. This one will tell me 64 fluid ounces. Okay, so then what I will do is I'm going to make a door here so I can get out the bottle, because even in the fancy $1,000 composting toilets, they still say the worst part is the urine stink. So it's the urine part that's going to be changed more often. And then what I'll do is, with this cutout piece on the board, I'll take a piece of laminate flooring and make a stronger door out of it and have it hinged and have a latch on it. We'll see how that goes. And so this bottle will be in here, and I'm going to put a couple other bottles in there just as spares, but mostly not so much as spares, but as to keep this one from rattling. But they don't weigh anything when they're empty, hardly, and so that's the progress so far. Those little pieces of wood are going to be spaced on the bottom of the board to keep the board from sliding around. And those little pieces of 2x4 are going to be around the bucket on the bottom of the tote to keep the bucket from sliding around. I'm drilling a hole in the cap of the bottle to make room for the hose, and just checking to make sure that it fits. And voila, it does. Yippee! Next, of course, is to fit the toilet seat. You want to measure it right and left to have it exactly where you want it. And then, of course, to draw the hole. And after you've drawn the hole, of course, you cut out the hole. And when you put the lid back on, everything is where you want it. Then you put the markers for the bolts for the seat. And voila, so far so good. Now I'm marking how big the door should be using the half-gallon bottle that's going to be for the urine. And I'll be using a piece of laminate flooring for the door because that's what I've got. And I will cut that out and measure it and make the hinges for it and all that stuff to make the door for it. I'm doing a test here of the urine separator, and looks good. All systems are go. Fantastic.
Is the toilet finished yet?
No, not quite, but I'll show you what I've got, and then I'm going to put the toilet aside for a while, but you'll see everything I know about it in the rest of this video.
Why are you putting it aside?
Well, two reasons. One's the weather's a little nasty outside, and I wanted to do my drilling out there. And also, my house is going to be put up for sale like tomorrow, and I need to get a bunch of stuff ready.
Really? You got a diary yet?
No, I haven't put it up for sale yet.
Oh, are we going away?
Yeah, we're going to go away in the van. So here's my base. I've got that round board in place. I've got the door cut, and I've got these 2x4 pieces that will go around to hold the bucket in place. And the only reason for this round spacer on the bottom is to raise the toilet up so that when I sit on the toilet, the weight will be on the bucket and not the tote. The bag will go here, and then my urine separator, and it's a tight fit, so I may have to cut this down a little bit, but we'll see later. So when your bag is in place, you want to make sure the edges of the new bag are smooth, because you don't want any poop hanging up on little ridges there. You want it smooth shot. And what do you put on the bottom? Well, some people use peat moss. A lot of people don't like that idea because peat moss is not sustainable, meaning that the earth is running out of it, and the earth does not produce more at a rapid enough rate that people are taking it out. Other people use coco coir, which is sustainable, but it's also spendier, and a lot of people don't like the results with it who have those toilets. I've been watching videos on YouTube, and I'm going to be using kitty litter simply because I have it. And what I would do is take my scoop, put 3 inches on the bottom, and then as you use it, put more in, and of course the lid's still on the toilet. What most people end up using is the type of shredded bedding they use for hamsters and gerbils. And well, you can get a big bale at a pet store. That's not too convenient if you're living in your van. So there are smaller bales that a lot of grocery stores or feed stores will also sell. And those might be $5 or $7 for a bale sort of like this, which is much more convenient. And if you can get sawdust, sawdust is probably preferred. Now when I put the wood blocks in, I'll be using crazy glue, and then I'll screw them in. Trying to use the double-sided tape didn't work very well, so I will use crazy glue because that bonds wood to plastic pretty well. But I don't trust it for staying for long, so I will screw it in from the bottom. Now for the door. Cut the door out. I still use the center of it. This tote is very soft, so I'm not a great carpenter, and but this is a piece of wood floor laminate. Goes over the top, and I probably will screw the centerpiece in with small screws, or I should say bolts, small bolts. And then on one side put a hinge, on the other side put a latch so that the door will open like a door. And then behind the tote, so on both sides there'll be a piece of wood here and a piece of wood there, and I will use small bolts to hold it in place besides the crazy glue. And fortunately this is not a high-tech operation here. And my jigsaw skills on the back side, they're not a straight line, but oh well. Hopefully it's not going to be in the public view. There's not going to be any awards made. And then for the top, I've got these spacers in place, and the back, actually the bolts keep the back in the right place. These are crazy glued on, and I will probably screw those into, in fact I know I will. So, and this board just sits on top. Like I said, all the weight is going to be, I'll just put this more in place, on the bucket itself, once the bucket's in, of course. And that's what I plan to do. Now, some people, and I may at some point, will put a fan at the back, and what they use is a computer fan, which generally runs about $8–10, and you need an adapter to plug that into regular wires. And then they have a little box with a place for a vent hose, and I'm not going to do that right now. So the door will be for getting that bottle in and out, and I'll have extra bottles on the left and right so that I could take the bottle out without having to lift the top up. Yeah, I would only lift the top up to empty this bucket. And what do you do with the bags? I'm not going to dig a hole and bury it. I'm going to experiment with composting bags. Otherwise, I have some contracting bags that I'll probably use up first because they've got to go somewhere. And what you clean this with is a mixture of half vinegar and half water. Clean that up. What do you do with the toilet paper? Just put it in the hole with the poop.
I have a question.
If you have a question, leave it in the comments.
That I want to ask you now.
They can ask now. Leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go full-time RVing, I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube. People have had the expensive composting toilets like Nature's Head, and if they're not using them for a home, but they're using them for an RV or a van, they're not getting it ready for composting. They're eventually going to dump it. And even those people say that it's not the poop part that stinks, it's the pee part. I intend to use this toilet as little as possible because often if you're going somewhere, almost every town has a park with a bathroom in it, although you may have to be prepared for your own toilet paper. But there's usually places to go. I'm in an area where there's a lot of primitive campgrounds that are Forest Service, and those will have toilets in them. Even if they've got a campground host, you can drive through, look around, maybe park in a spot that's vacant and use the toilet for a few minutes, and off you go. So the main reason for a toilet is there are places where you have to be self-contained. There are places like casinos that let you park, maybe Cracker Barrel or somewhere else. Mostly I'll be doing boondocking, and so I can pee in the woods, but the poop, I'm not going to be digging a hole in putting my stuff down there. No, I will take it and bag it up. And people say, well, isn't that wrong? Well, you do the same with your kitty litter, you do the same with the dog poop you're picking up, and you do the same with your dirty diapers. So what are you going to do? Generally speaking, that's one of the best ways. And I will be looking into using composting bags. For right now, I've got some contractor bags I want to I've got to use up anyway, so I've got them. So we'll see how it goes. You're not going to hear from me about this toilet until it's been on the road and being used. Right? Practice is in the perfect, or perfect is in the practice, or whatever the heck that says. Practice is in the poop. So it's 7 months later, and the only thing I'm going to talk about is my toilet. And this is travel mode. See the bungees here. I keep my laptop up here. And I did have a Coleman electric ice box there, which I'll talk about another time if I have a chance, but it was pretty inefficient. I've got probably at least 18 rolls of toilet paper, which might seem like an overkill, but a lot of places you go now, a lot of their shelves are empty, and when I'm using it, I'll just turn it around, use it like this, and you don't want to see that, but it's been used a little bit today. When I was pooping, most of the time I will pee outside. Got 2 extra bottles in case I'm stuck in a parking lot somewhere, like at a casino or something, where I can't pee outside. Here, I've got a bin for my small animal bedding. This particular stuff is pine shredded, and I'll show you what it looks like when I buy it. This is actually an antique crate, and I've got more storage stuff behind it, but you probably can't get a crate like that, or you might be able to, but plastic totes are available anywhere, and this was a kitty litter box. Kitty litter would work okay for a while until you got that box empty, but kitty litter weighs a lot. I also spray the empty bottle and the funnel with a mixture of half vinegar, half water. This is small animal bedding. You can get this almost anywhere. A lot of bigger grocery stores will have it. Certainly Walmart does. Any place that has feed, like Tractor Supply Outlet or any pet store, of course. And this is pine. They also have ash bedding, ash shavings, and that's a little more expensive, and more expensive still, they have shredded paper, and it clumps up pretty good. I like the pine simply because if I'm filling my bucket and I got scattered around on the ground a little bit of it, it's not as bad as if there was paper, which I had to pick up. The paper stuff really unfolds a lot, or really puffs up a lot, but you have to spend some time unclumping it. So usually one store will only have one of these kinds, but if you have a choice, try and get the pine bedding. It works just as well as anything, I think. Okay, 7 months on the road. I'm quite happy with it. One of the things when I was car camping, I always wanted was a toilet. Got a toilet. Other things I don't need. I also wanted a heater, but that's another discussion, and I've got the heater. So those are the main things besides the bed. So I'm happy, very happy. Does it smell? Very seldom. Oh, also, sometimes in the urinal part and in the poop part, I will add a little bit of, this is baking soda. No, it's baking powder. Anyway, baking powder is stuff you put in your refrigerator to keep the smell down. I'll put a little bit of that on the funnel, put a little bit of that in the bucket, and I almost never notice the smell. And what I've used for bags, so far I've been using contractor bags. If you use the double duty bags, they don't hold very much, because I'm out here for probably 7 days at a time. Now if I'm near a toilet that's an outhouse or something, I will use that. But if you're in places where you can't, and most of the time if you're in the boondocks, boondocking, or in a parking lot or something, you want to be self-contained. So the pee, I will pee outside if there's no one around and if there's a safe place to do it, but not in public. So, but the poop, I will not take it out and bury it. I'm not going to do that. And if there's a dumpster, then I will bag it up and put the whole bag of poop in the dumpster, and it's not going to be any worse than people's adult diapers, baby diapers, and dog poop, and that type of stuff. And I have not looked into the composting bags yet. So I've been using the contractor bags. They've worked out well, and so far I'm happy with my toilet. Well, by now I thought I'd be editing and doing a lot of videos because I thought I'd be bored on the road. Well, I haven't been that bored yet. So I have been posting photos on my Facebook page, usually 1 or 2 days after I travel. I try not to post them the same place I am, just for safety reasons. But if you want to follow me on Facebook, my name's Hilma Volk, H-I-L-M like in mother, A like Wilma with an with an H, Volk, V like in Victor, O-L-K, Hilma Volk, Facebook/Hilma Volk. And you'll find me there, and you'll see the pictures of where I've been and where I'm going when I get there. And of course you can subscribe, like, and all that good stuff.